Thank you for listening to BizPod with me, Paul,
and me, Rachel.
Our weekly business English podcast where we talk about the news, social media, and hot topics from a business point of view. You'll get a podcast and links to the articles we discuss. This way you can share your thoughts too. Join us as we discuss what's on our minds this week.
Right, so this week we have a new guest. We have Megan Nichols. Megan, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So I'm from Manchester in the UK, and I've lived very internationally in lots of different countries, learning languages. And for about 10 years, I've been teaching English. And then last year, I started my own business, Mega Language Coach, focusing on confidence coaching and business English. So yeah, it's great to be here.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
so
it's great to have a fellow Mancunian on the podcast, rather than those Londoners.
Yeah, too many Southerners on this podcast.
Yeah, too many.
Okay. Shall I just leave you two to talk?
We'll talk Boddingtons and football and music.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
So you mentioned business English is a specialism, but you also mentioned confidence. That's something I'm very interested in, sort of building confidence in learners. Yeah. Why is that important to you?
Because I think you can learn a language and you can know all the theories and read all the textbooks and you're on paper fluent in a language. But I've been in many situations where I've passed the exams, but then I go to the country and try and speak to these people and I don't feel like I have the skills. And I never want my clients to feel like that. I want them to feel like everything that they are learning is actually going to be useful and they feel that they can use it straight away. So it's less about the language. In my case, English, it's more about the psychology behind that feeling confident,
Okay. So how do you help people feel confident? Could you give us an example of something you can help somebody with?
Yeah, it's more like changing the mindset, the growth mindset. I work primarily with adults, which is very different to the days I used to be in the classroom with kids who kind of are willing to give everything a go and make those mistakes and nothing happens. There's no grave consequences. Whereas with adults, they're normally in boardrooms and they've got people they want to impress and colleagues that are native speakers. So it's trying to change that thought process and realize that it's okay to make mistakes because native speakers do it all the time and it's fine. So yeah, we have activities that try and focus on that.
Okay. All right. And what about your own experiences traveling? I mean, being in other countries where you don't know the language yourself or you're learning the language yourself. I mean, what has that given you?
Helps me relate to my clients and my students because I know what it feels like. German is a great example. I learned Hochdeutsch, which is like main German in school. And then I went to live in different cities where they have dialects. And I think I've heard you talk about this on other episodes. It's similar in Italy, that the dialects are very regional. And so I thought I could speak German and I turn up and then nobody speaks like that. And I think this has given me the same experience, if you speak to somebody from Newcastle versus somebody from Bristol in the UK, for example, they're gonna speak differently. And I love that, the idioms and the different ways that we speak. It adds a lot of character, but it can be quite hard for learners as well.
It can. I mean, if you think about sort of say Manchester and Liverpool, two big cities, very, very close together. But honestly, I mean, Scousers, people from Liverpool, can you understand them? Can you understand a word they say?
I can, but I have to concentrate. And they use like different vocabulary that I have no idea what they're saying. And as a native speaker, it's kind of embarrassing to ask, like, what are you talking about? So what chance do learners have, I only have a lot of sympathy.
Yeah. It is strange. I've spoken to sort of many students in a similar situation, and you have the conversation with them. Look, England or English is full of regional dialects. And then you say, well, look, listen, what about your country? you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, like you mentioned Germany, the German they speak in the north is different to the German they speak in the south. And when they sort of understand that mindset that German is not German everywhere, Italian is not Italian everywhere. It's the same with English, and I think that
Mm.
sort of helps people to understand that English is never your English learning journey is never over. I don't think.
I love listening to people all over the world speak English and they teach me new words, even as a native speaker. And I think the difference with English is that because it's so global, like New Zealand accent versus American versus South Africa, it's just spread across more countries. So yeah, adds a little bit of spice to life.
Mm-hmm. I was just
True.
thinking during the pandemic, all the Italians kept talking about smart working, low smart working, and we'd known it as remote working or working from home, and the Italians were coming out with an English phrase. It was just like
Yeah,
weird, wasn't
it
it?
was a little
Germans
bit.
do
I
this
don't know.
all the
I
time.
Yeah, I don't know why the Italians came up with this phrase of smart working. Because my understanding of smart working was doing things in a quicker, better, more efficient method. Whereas
Yeah.
their version of smart working is just, I'm staying at home today.
I mean, it's quite smart if you think about it. Put your feet up, relax. Germans do this all the time, and
True.
it's sometimes it can be a little bit unnerving. So they have, for example, body bag, which obviously for us is like where you would put a corpse or like a dead body, but they just have it as like a crossbody handbag. Or I remember being in Germany, they were saying only €30 for a family shooting. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awful. But they mean a family photo shoot. And so they've
Right.
taken the English words and they've used them in a very different context. And
Mm,
it can have alarming results. So yeah, I know exactly
mm,
what you're talking about.
A
mm.
body bag and a family shooting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I always think as well, teaching when you've got teenage Germans, especially lads, trying to get them to call their mobile phone a cell phone and not a handy. I need to get my
Yeah.
handy. No, you don't need to get your handy.
Yeah, and they say like, "Oh, is that not an English word?" And I say, "Well, yeah, it is, but it's like
But
if you're
not for
going to
that.
be good with your hands or you're good at DIY or something that's really useful." But I don't know whose fault that is that they took the words and used them wrong.
I don't know, because I mean, is that something that's come from German into English and then we use it in because the finger hand, they're all German, aren't they, that have come into English. So
Yeah.
maybe it's something from the English end that's wrong. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not here to point the blame, but it can be quite interesting because they don't think about these words. They think, oh yeah, I know English because I use these words every day. And then you point them out that actually we don't use them in the way that you are using those English words, and then it's a little bit taken aback by that.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Yeah, you mentioned before that maybe it's you saying it's wrong to them, but is it wrong if they and all their friends use the same English word to describe the thing? It's not wrong, is it?
Now, well, that's elf,
It's
isn't
just
it? English is a lingua franca that they
Yeah,
yeah,
say is actually correct because as long as the person you're speaking to understands it, even if you make a mistake, it's not a mistake.
yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
Yeah,
And lots of my clients communicate with people that are non-native speakers. So as long
Yeah,
as they can understand each other in
yeah,
this kind of mishmash English, then I
yeah,
guess the communication is the main tool.
yeah, 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 yeah. It depends on the setting. It depends. That lovely phrase. It depends who you're talking to, what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it depends.
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah,
All right. So where do most of your clients come from, Megan? We were talking with a chappie yesterday. Um, or
Jamila
Jalm,
from Brazil.
yeah. And he was saying about now he's got clients from all over the world. But I mean, we have a lot of clients who are Colombian, don't we? Which is quite weird. Korean, South Korean.
Is it
There
Yeah,
seem
weird?
Yeah, we seem to have certain sort of little hot spots, don't we? But what
yeah,
about you?
Yeah, all over the world. Was had the intention of starting my business mainly for marketers, because that's
Hmm,
kind of my background. So most of my clients work in marketing, but it's kind of expanded and I've
hmm,
expanded with it. Um, Sometimes it helps to have clients in languages where I speak the language, and sometimes I actually see the most progress in the clients where I don't speak the language because
yeah,
we have to communicate in English. I don't know
yeah.
about your experience, but can be, the coin
How
has
many
both sides.
languages? How many languages do you speak?
So I studied German and French, and then since living in Mexico, I've been learning Spanish. So yeah, I'm trying to collect
Okay,
them all. There's always more
you
to
got
learn.
four. Four languages. Wow.
Yeah.
I find two languages more than enough for my brain. Um,
But now you've
how do
learned
you,
a couple, you could learn more. It'd be a lot easier. I'm a big advocate that there's, always learning to be had.
oh yeah, I'm sure there's always learning to be had, but do you not find having more than sort of, having two, maybe three or even four languages in your mind, do you not get them muddled up?
Sometimes, I mean, I'd love to know more about how the brain works, like where you store all the words in your head, when they get kind of put in these filing cabinet, you're looking for it
Yeah,
in one language and you can remember it in another. Um, Between German and French, not really, because they have different roots and they come from different language families. And
yeah,
I'm finding that French is helping the Spanish a little bit, not with the pronunciation, but with the reading. So,
right.
mm, not exactly.
Do you
So it's
have a
pretty.
French brain, a Spanish brain, and a German brain?
I do have different personalities in each language. I don't know about you though.
Yes, 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 yes. We're more flamboyant when we speak Italian. We can do a lot of this,
Yeah,
can't we?
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. I feel like I'm a lot more laid back in Spanish. I think that's
Mm.
the Mexican vibes coming through. Definitely more organized in German. So I love seeing how that plays out. And also speaking to my clients in their native language or in English, and you see different facets of their personality. You're like, oh, I never expected that from you. Um, this works a lot with humor, I think.
hmm
mm,
hmm
yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
I think when we
So,
started to learn Italian dialect, then we realized how much our neighbors liked swearing. We didn't realize
and you didn't
until
realize
then.
before.
It's like, yeah, I mean, for some of our neighbors, every second word is a swear word, and we didn't really understand at
Realize
first.
though. No, now we
Yeah.
do.
I'm sure it's not in like a negative, like violent
Oh
way. I'm
no,
sure
no,
it's just
no,
like in a
no.
expressive way, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
many years ago, so when we were here, we kind of knew some Italian.
Mm.
So we would perhaps have a conversation with our neighbors in Italian. When they wanted to talk about us, they switced to
To
dialect.
dialect straight
So
away.
yeah, and we knew when they
Different.
switched to dialect, they were talking about us.
Because they didn't
Yeah,
want us to
it's like a big
understand.
red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a big difference in the dialects? Like, could you, if
Yeah.
I understood Italian, could I understand the dialect or no?
Paul did some work in the local pasta factory and he learned a lot of dialect. So you know some, but for me, I don't even get a number, a color, and zero, nothing. It's like a
Yeah.
mishmash of, it sounds almost sort of German, doesn't it? And no,
Our dialect is very Germanic. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't get anything, nothing.
Isolating though, like because you have learned Italian and then you still can't communicate like on that level.
Yeah, but they speak, I mean, they speak Italian anyway, don't they? Our
Yeah.
neighbours
Okay,
are very, very nice and very polite and they're very patient with us.
okay,
Um,
that's good.
but it's just funny hearing that they have like when the local festas are on, they'll have a dialect comedian and there's no point us going because we're sat there going and everybody else around us is laughing.
Yeah, I think humor is difficult to translate even on like even if you understand everything, because there's so much culture that goes into it,
Yeah.
so much history that it's once you've explained it, it's not funny anymore.
Yeah.
So
That's
what's
true.
your next adventure, Megan? If you've done all this traveling, you've just come back from Mexico, what's next for you?
Yeah, so it's the golden question. I am looking to go to Spain. So I
Okay.
can use some of my Spanish and
Mhm,
obviously continue working online. So
mhm,
yeah, I'll see what happens there. I'm excited.
mhm. We're thinking of going to Spain next year for the solar eclipse.
Yes, I've heard good things about that. Like it's going to be a big tourist event.
Yeah.
But I've missed being in Europe. I've missed like the ease of travel and having everything so close. So it'll be nice to hop on a train or a plane and see new places again.
Okay. And
Mm.
these new e-gates are not putting you off that they're on the news the other day about having your fingerprints and your everything. No.
No, I spoke to my parents about it, and that they are like talking about the ID cards and having all
Yeah.
this data and all of this, and I'm like, but I've got nothing to hide, like
Mm.
they can have it all anyway because I'm not concerned about it. So I think it's just
Yeah.
an extension of this.
Yeah. I think
There's a
Europeans
cultural
have had
thing in
it
the U
so long.
Yeah, there's a cultural thing in the UK about sort of IDs and things like that, isn't there? Whereas in Europe, everyone has an ID card.
Yeah. And in most countries I've lived in, like even in Mexico, like they take their card to vote, they
Yeah.
take it to prove their identity because having a passport, I've learned, is quite a privilege and not everybody has it, whereas the ID
Mm.
card, it's compulsory. And it just kind
Mm.
of gives everybody like this equal standing.
Yeah.
Do you have them in
Yeah,
Italy?
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
Um,
because we're after Brexit,
oh,
Brexit sort of complicated matters a little bit more, and
we
then there
had
was
to get
about
Tell me
new
about it, Paul.
visas and permissions and
many
oh
more hoops to jump through, and
yeah,
we were then given yet another identity card, weren't we?
yeah. A
Yeah.
permission to
So
stay, proof of
there's
residency.
like the standard one that everyone has, and then there's this special one that only Brits have got.
Yeah.
And you don't really want to be in that special category. You're like,
No,
no, I
Not
just want to
really.
blend in, to be honest.
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Well, tell us more about your work. Yeah.
I feel like I'm on a mission to prove that business English is not boring. And
Ooh.
I think
Oh,
it
okay.
comes with
That's
this
interesting.
big stereotype that it's going to be dull, it's going to be wearing suits, it's going to be briefcases,
Mhm.
even writing on chalkboards, like all of the things that spring to mind. And I'm kind of out there proving that just because it's business, it can still be really fun. And I have a lot of clients that finish the course with me or finish learning, and then they say, like, that was so much more enjoyable than I was expecting, as if it's like a trip to the dentist or having blood work. And I'm like, it's not supposed to be horrible. So
Why do
that's
you
kind of
think
what
there
I'm
was maybe this idea that business English is boring? What makes you think that's out there somewhere?
probably for a few reasons. I think it used to be very textbook centered. It used to be maybe
Mhm.
somebody would
Yeah.
come into the company once a week for an hour and get everybody in a classroom, and it would be very kind of dull. Um, it just doesn't sound very exciting. And I think there's a misconception that when we teach adults that it has to be
Mhm.
really dry as well.
Mhm.
Whereas I play lots of games with my clients and it's actually, yeah, the time flies by.
Mhm. This reminds me of Sam and Peppa Pig, doesn't it? With his
I
English
love
Yeah.
that
tips.
episode. Yeah, I was just listening to that episode
Oh. So
with all
you
the
said
phrasal
Yeah.
verbs.
yeah, he was really into it, didn't he? He really knew his stuff. I mean, Megan, you said you got a background in marketing. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I did a triple honours degree. I was not willing to give up any of my A levels. I love them all so much. So against better judgment, I guess, I did business at university with languages. And
Mhm.
then after graduating in the pandemic, then I went to work in marketing in Germany. So I think a common misconception about business English is that it's very theoretical. Whereas I'm like, no, we're going to learn things that you're going to use and you can put them in marketing or you can put them in a legal setting or whatever. Um, because otherwise, what's the point of learning all these long vocabulary lists? I want it to be tangible and I want it to be real. So I
Hmm.
try and use my background as much as possible. But I don't know about you guys, but something I love from my clients is learning from them. So I might have an engineer or somebody in pharmaceutical, and to support them best as possible, I try and become like a mini expert in their field and learn the vocabulary, to teach them. I'm not teaching them how to do their job, but I'm teaching them how to do their job in English. So I get to learn so much about different industries, which I really enjoy.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
That is definitely one of the benefits of the work that we do, all the different people that we meet.
Yeah.
And their different ideas, their different perspectives, and yeah, the different industries, but also the cultures. Um, so for example, Rachel mentioned earlier that we've had lots of students from Colombia,
Mm.
and I don't know about Rachel, but I've heard so many interesting stories about Pablo Escobar, which are not perhaps international, commonly known internationally,
Hmm.
but are well known sort of within Medellin, where he's from, and things like that. One of my students, if I can just one of my students remembers when he was a child, his family were actually a victim of one of the bombs that went off in the city. at the
Wow.
time.
And you get to hear that firsthand.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
Yeah. I
really
love
I think
meeting
the
people
interesting
thing,
the
from
kind of
all
people you meet.
walks of life, you know?
mm, I
Yeah,
think the thing is though, when you get to speak to people all over the world, it doesn't matter which nationality they are, which culture they are. You just realize that everybody just wants to have a nice life. That's all they want. They just want to have a nice house, good family, do well, be happy, go on holiday. It doesn't matter who they are, does it? That's all they want.
yeah,
Yeah. It's a nice
Mm,
message of peace that we all
yeah.
want the same things.
Yeah.
Can be so divisive with borders and, politics, but I think meeting people is one of my favorite things for that exact reason. You realize you have so much in common, even if you don't share the same language or the same
Mm,
culture.
mhm.
yeah,
And we're normally laughing about things and sharing things that are different or really similar. And it bonds people, whether it's traveling or, over
yeah,
lessons like this virtually.
yeah.
What was
We
one
have had
thing? Oh, I just want to
no,
ask
no. Go on.
one thing that Megan absolutely adored from Mexico. I mean, what was one thing that you were like, oh, I love it here because of that?
This is hard to pick one thing, Rachel. I think the nature, like I wasn't expecting there to be such variety in nature in Mexico. I don't know about you, but I had ideas of beaches and it kind of being very tropical. But I went to like the Baja California side and it was sandboarding on like all these dunes, which was amazing. And it was so green as well. So rainforests, and I was swimming with stingrays in the wild, and it was like
Wow.
so much variety, which was a really pleasant surprise.
Mm.
Right. See, that's not the impression I have of Mexico, Rach.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, yeah, it was surprising but positive.
Yeah. I mean, my impression of, I mean, my knowledge of Mexico is very, very limited. But obviously, you hear a lot about Mexican immigrants in the United States,
Yeah.
and all of the bad things that go with that in the politics. But I suppose, my knowledge of Mexico comes from the TV show Narcos. Narcos Mexico.
Quite a limited view then. I mean,
Yeah, I
I would
suppose so. Yeah.
recommend
You're thinking more down
Disney's
the
movie.
Yeah, you're thinking more down the Guatemala, Nicaragua end, aren't you? I mean, I was just thinking of like, the history. They've got such an ancient history, haven't they?
Yeah, like all of the Mayan culture and the
Did you
pyramids.
go
It's
and have a
amazing.
look? Did you go and visit them?
Yeah. Yeah, and I learned about like they have this snake on the side of the pyramids, like going down. And when it's the equinox or when it's a certain point with the sun, it looks like the snake's moving down the stairs.
Wow.
It was really impressive
Wow.
because they built these things without cranes or computers or really any advanced technology. So that to me is even more impressive.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
you really ticked quite a few things off your bucket list, Megan,
I am a
already.
list ticker, Rachel. I am. I arrived and I knew it wasn't going to be for a long time, so I was like, right, these are the things I want to do. And you know what? I've left and I've still got things that I want to see, which I think is always a really good way to leave a country, in this kind of expat
Hmm.
journey, that there's still more, I want to go see the butterfly migration, I want to celebrate Day
Mhm.
of the Dead.
Yeah.
So there's lots still more to explore.
See, Day of the Dead, I'm
And
just thinking
Mexico is
James
such a
Bond now.
big country as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mexico's a
Yeah,
huge
it's
country as well,
vast.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's vast. It's got a lot of states, which I was kind of again surprised about. I didn't know each state was going to have a very different feel to it. Again, regional dialect, traditions, foods,
Yeah.
celebrations, like they all have different festivals. So it's very different, if you go to Monterey in the north to somewhere like Oaxaca or like they're all very different. So I think that's nice, to have a different
Mm.
identity in each place.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the Gulf of Mexico now becoming the Gulf of America?
Yeah.
Facing it all.
It wasn't received very well whilst I was living there, let me tell
Yeah,
you.
I
But they
bet it
kind of
wasn't.
roll their eyes and they're kind of like, what now?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think on the whole they take it really well considering. And I had such a positive experience there that I can't say anything on the
No.
contrary.
Good, good, good. That's what
Yeah.
we want to hear. Yeah.
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 So you mentioned that there's lots of places in Mexico you'd like to go back to. What about places in England, in the UK? I mean, Where have you not been that you want to visit in the UK, for example?
That's a more limited list, to be honest, Paul. I'm always trying to go somewhere else. In my newsletter this month, I actually talked about Oh, the Places You'll Go, the Dr. Seuss book, which was read to me as a child, and it's kind of been instilled in me like go far, go wide, go see the
Yeah.
mountains.
Yeah.
The UK, let me see. I feel like there's a lot of cool places to see in Ireland. Like I'd love to do like a coastal road trip there. Again, the nature and the scenery looks stunning. I hear a lot from students that they come to Brighton and study English. There's lots of like intensive
Yeah.
language schools there, and I've never been to
Mm-hmm.
Brighton, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe there.
Lots of
Where can you
homelessness as
recommend?
well in
Yeah.
Brighton. Yeah, a lot. It's the highest a number of homeless
Highest proportion
people.
of homeless people live in Brighton.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think
yeah.
back in the
Really?
90s, it was very trendy Brighton
Mm,
was a very sort of hip, trendy place in the 90s.
yeah.
Where would we recommend? Cornwall, the Cotswolds, Bristol, Cardiff,
Okay. Okay.
Chester.
I
Chester.
love Chester.
Yeah.
Chester's like 40 minutes from my house, and I love it.
We
Yeah.
used to love going to Chester, walk round the wall, have a cup of tea in
Yeah.
Debenhams, go home. That was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you've
Or
got to have the
occasionally go to
afternoon
Chester
tea.
Zoo. Yeah, go Chester Zoo maybe.
Oh yeah, I used
Yeah,
to do that on my
absolutely.
birthday, watch them weighing the elephants. That was lovely. That was a nice zoo.
Hmm. It is. It's
Yeah.
really nice. And keep adding more things. I've seen that you can do more interactive things, which is nice.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
UK is a great place to
Afternoon
sort of
tea in
visit.
Chester. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. I am trying to see the UK through my client's eyes and see like all the positive things that it has to offer. So I'm posting on my social media about fish and chips and scones and all of this, to try and do some good promotion for the country.
Harrogate. Go to the Harrogate tea rooms.
Oh yeah, Betty's tea room. That's it in
Betty's tea room in
Harrogate.
Harrogate. Yeah.
Yeah, very
Okay.
And
nice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another place. What's that place on the East Coast where Count Dracula arrived in the
Whitby.
book?
Whitby.
Whitby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go and see
Okay.
Whitby
I'm
Castle.
going to Alnwick in a few weeks, which I'm looking forward to. I've heard it's really pretty. Alnwick
Where's that?
Castle.
Alnwick.
Near Newcastle. They film
Oh,
lots
right.
of the
Okay.
Harry Potter. They have
Right.
like the big gardens, Alnwick Gardens.
All right.
We're not Harry
I've
I'll
Potter.
let
never
you know.
been to Newcastle. There you
I
go.
have.
I've never
I
been
had
to
a,
Newcastle.
I had a
Do you like the accent?
university interview there. I used to live with a girl who was from Newcastle, and she actually got me a book on how to speak Geordie because when she used to get drunk, when we used to go clubbing, all of a sudden in the middle of the night, she'd say, Ganaganyem, Ganaganyem. We were like, what?
What
Sarah,
does
we
that
don't
mean?
understand you. I want to go home. She'd had enough. And she'd say, Ganaganyem, Ganaganyem. We're like, we don't
And you've
understand you.
remembered that. Like it must
Yeah,
have been, it stayed
yeah,
with you.
it did.
I love the Newcastle
It's a,
accent. It just sounds so positive and happy all the time. Like it just sounds really
yeah,
upbeat.
yeah. You can't be angry in a Geordie accent, can you? It's just sort of it's a happy accent.
It just sounds nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we better end there. Megan, thank you so much for coming. I would
Yeah.
actively encourage any of our business English students who want to improve their confidence, particularly in the area of marketing, but not limited to marketing. If you want to get in touch with Megan and check out her classes, then please do so. We'll provide all the links as usual. And thanks so much for meeting up with us. It's been fun.
It's been great. Time has flown. Not so boring after all. So thank you both.
Thanks for listening. We hope you liked our podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe and stay connected with us. Until next time, goodbye.